Welcome, everyone. Welcome to today's podcast on paper. Paper is complicated. So we're going to do this one today, and we're going to do another one next week. I'm hoping that that finishes up the topic of not just why paper is so difficult, what individually you are experiencing in the way of your unique difficulty with it, because you're not alone, and then what to actually do about it other than the traditional filing cabinet, which for most people is not a huge success. That's probably where the pile starts, on the top of the filing cabinet. So today we're going to talk about the things that get in the way, that create the perfect storm for the buildup. All right. And what the ideal system that would be tailor-made for you doesn't happen. What is that reason? Because there are other options. All right. And the paper that builds up is not just made of, at a certain point anyway, it's not just made of the paper that you are request or expect. It starts to get mixed up with the overload, the overwhelmed, and then paper in itself is difficult, and we're going to talk about that, so that you don't come away thinking that this is just your personal failure, all right, or somehow it's just about you. All right. Next week, we're going to talk about various systems that in themselves or in combination in some way can meet your unique needs. I know that in my office, we would be drowning in paper if we didn't have a variety of ways, specific and simple ways, specific to the type of information. All right, so, and the reason that I think this is worth the time and worth a whole podcast is because if we help you find that unique combination for the paper that is most important to you, that's going to help you move forward to change those piles into files, but not necessarily the traditional type of files. If that's not what that paper and retrieving it is a need for you. Okay, there's no question that even people who don't hoard find paper difficult. Why? Because there is so much of it. Right? And don't kid yourself. I know that computers were supposed to solve the problem of the paper and the filing. Electronic files, electronic information. Anytime I'm talking about tangible paper, all right, I'm also talking about the intangibles, the emails in your inbox, the files that you wanted to save, your computer running like sap in March because it's overloaded and can't keep up. All right? And you can't understand why this computer is going. It's because of electronic information. All right. Okay. Now, a lot of the paper, I want you to track this week, just so that you get the monkey off your back about this is just about you. I want you to track how much unsolicited paper comes into your life that you didn't ask for. All right. And that unsolicited paper can stymie the strongest intent to keep it managed, right? When the unsolicited keeps the important information lost in piles, is that a hint about what our first step is? Yes, okay. Added to that, tackling difficult memories, all right, while trying to stop the paper buildup can be very difficult. And the fear of losing important information, or still those 3 attachment patterns aesthetic something. We're going to talk about how the aesthetic attachment pattern for build-up, for forming a relationship with your things, how that plays out with paper. We're going to talk about the intrinsic. Every paper that comes in to your environment has the potential in your mind for intrinsic importance. Intrinsic means there might be something important or valuable to know on it, and I don't have time, patience, or energy to sit down and go through the fine print. Where does it go? Goes on the pile, all right? And also the sentimental. Those are the things you find among the piles as you start to sort. And sometimes it can just feel like walking through treacle up to your knees to figure out which is which. Okay, ideally, it's best to identify the problem before it starts. If you're here today, that hasn't happened. But don't give up, because ideally as well, searching for, committing to the way for you to start to get ahead of it is really what we're talking about. Okay, today's podcast has been specifically designed for what are the blocks to you completing what you have a clear intent to accomplish, all right? Paper often stumps us because there isn't a paper that doesn't promise that the content might be offering. This goes down to, you know, the delivery food options and what their new menu is and what the price. How many people here, when those arrive in your junk mail, how many people take it and go to where you keep the others, sort out the ones that are clearly out of date, and just keep the new one? Hands up. I make my point. Okay, I've got one person. You go. That is great. Okay, so the other thing that paper offers is that there's something tempting, even if you don't actually think it's necessarily important, that, ooh, wouldn't that be nice? And probably if they're going to the expense of marketing in paper, which is not cheap, all right, at a great price, right? Yeah, the deal. And often offered, usually offered, with time limits for the deal. So can you feel that clock ticking? Better make your mind up. You better follow through on this, right? Okay, that's all marketing. All marketing. Any deal is coming back in the same form or a better form sooner or later if you wait for it. If you don't need it right now, don't get talked into spending your disposable time, energy, and money grabbing a deal that in some form will come around again, okay? And because it teases those kinds of deals, time limit, it teases the dreams and the desires that we have. Anybody here not have dreams and desires? I don't think it's possible to draw your next breath without looking like, just what would you like in the future, right? What would you like? And these marketing, I want you to look at the colors that these things come in. Oh, you have like, whoa, all right. And the buy now, the whatever the deal is in some kind of color that goes straight to your brain, all right, and registers. It's all marketing. And the reason I'm kind of teasing you a little bit about that, I'm not really teasing you because it's true, is that all of this is designed to tell ourselves we need to hold on to this one. Because even if you don't buy now, if I influence you to hold on to it, you're not going to want to take the chance that this opportunity that kind of is teasing you a bit, all right, triggering you a bit, isn't going to be something that you absolutely want to follow up on. The problem is, until when do you hold on to it? That's really the unanswered question here. If paper arrived one at a time and you could triage it and go, maybe, but not right now. When do you decide, no, you know what? I have my hands full with today and tomorrow. And next week, next month, next year, maybe sometime, possibly, can take care of itself when I get there. All right. Paper also is designed, and it depends on what type of paper, can also hold memories. And when paper holds memories, or it holds importance, so we're talking now about sentimental based, all right, or intrinsic based, possible deal, embedded in it, without you even realizing it, is a heightened level of importance and potential meaning, all right? Papers can also remind us, and this is something I want to kind of explore a little with you, can also remind us of a future, okay? Not just a thing. It's not just the thing, the deal, the item. It's not just about tangible marketing. It's about marketing your future, something you wanted. It reminds us of something maybe that you dreamed of, that you had an intent to follow up on. And it may still be kind of deep inside, a tiny little desire that gets intrigued or triggered. Watch out for that, all right? Watch out for that. The fact that the papers represent a loss, okay, some papers, if you don't keep them, seem to represent a loss of more than people or finances. It's that vague thing. You can't quite put your finger on it. It also represents like an amorphous, intangible, that it's like a vague, particularly when you're overwhelmed. All right, there's the, well, I can't see why it would be important, but you know, just in case. Okay, well, I'll sort it later. I'll put it on the pile. I'll get to it. All right. The thing about tomorrow is tomorrow never comes. That's the thing about tomorrow. Okay. And I want to help you triage what you're seeing, what you're being manipulated by, what it marketing in ideas or items, or hanging on to things that aren't going to give you something back in your life that you actually need. All right. And when you get those vague sort of uncertain, insecure, fuzzy edges of, yes, I need it, no, I don't, and make a decision. This is actually something I do need to keep. This is actually something I don't need to keep. And you know what I'm going to do? Just occurred to me. I'm going to save all of the mail that comes to me this week. All right. And I'm going to show you in real time how to make those decisions. All right. And the questions that go through my mind, which are probably very similar to the questions that you go in your mind. And I want you then to realize, where in that process do you get stuck? What is it you're saying to yourself? Because that's the demon here. That's the dragon. What you're saying to yourself that results in that pile. Okay. And when we lose track of staying focused with paper, all right, as an example, and we start to become overwhelmed, and then we start to become insecure about our decision, and then that even builds to uncertainty. By the time you're at uncertainty, you've got piles starting to form. All right. There's an intangible kind of vague, cloudy, amorphous fog, okay, in the parameters, the edges of your mind, your decision making, that can really complicate feelings of loss. And it's not just lost people. It's not like grief. It's like lost opportunities, lost something. Well, we don't actually know what the loss is about it any longer. We just know that we don't like the feeling of uncertainty and insecurity. By that time, they've got you in handcuffs. All right, whatever this, who's sending you these papers. All right, so how do they do that? How does it complicate it? Because it gives us a vague feeling. And that feeling is so vague and so amorphous, so intangible. It's confusion, it's uncertainty, that it's next to impossible to deal with. It would be like trying to, what's a good metaphor for that? Okay, you put blinders on and you try to figure out where the keys are on the keyboard. All right, so that you can write the note to yourself, let this go. All right, it creates that block. And when you're in that situation, you get overwhelmed, and before you know it, you're avoiding dealing with the paper. The paper comes in, it just goes in a pile. All right, why? Because they've got you on the run. That's why. So today, one of the things I want to help you do is to develop a better focus about what stage you're at right now when paper comes in to your environment. Where do you automatically go? That goes back to last week's or the week before, the stages of readiness, right? The stages of change. And so are you at you're certainly not at a pre-contemplation, because we have close to 50 people here today. All right. This is something that a lot of people struggle with, right? And it gets the better of them. So we're not at pre-contemplation. I don't think we're even at contemplation, because as I look at your faces and your eyes, there's a lot of this going on. Not, oh yeah, that's interesting. All right. And so that tells me that this, for many, many people, has got to jump on you. Okay. So why? So that we can see the feelings, we can see the decisions for what they are and need to be today moving forward. Why? Because that gives us something we actually need. We don't need that paper lost in a pile, getting covered by today's paper and tomorrow's paper and the next day's paper. All right. We don't need that. That does not meet our need. And you haven't filed the papers, but you have filed away your needs. All right. And you filed them in the ignore drawer, because at a certain point, you're so overwhelmed that facing it isn't something that you can easily make yourself do. Remember, we've talked about that. There is no magic. Okay, after you've triaged however many bundles that are about this deep, 3 inches deep, one at a time, bundle one at a time, and you triage for the identity papers, the financial papers, legal papers, those 3 categories. The rest is what we're talking about. All right, just do it 3 inches at a time. Take your hand. This should be on most people, about 3 to 4 inches. That's the depth. Don't try to do more than that at a time when you're overwhelmed. Why? Because it's important that whatever activity or effort you make, you get your need met. And your need is to find the good things, the really important things, and to get that pile going down. All right. So, all right, what's next? When you start to get that kind of vague, amorphous, confused, you breathe differently. Do you know you're kind of breathing up here in your chest, all right, rather than any sort of relaxed breathing? And you can feel it in your head. It's not quite buzzing, but you can feel it. when you're starting to get overwhelmed. I want you to stop at that point. I know the paper is important, but stop. And I want you to ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? And I want you to name it. Why do I want you to name it? Because when you can name it in a term that has meaning for you, meaning and validity for you, it is no longer a ghost in the edges. All right, you've just brought it out into the open and you're making it real. You're giving it a name. And what that also does is the next time you starting to feel that, you know what it is. And at that point, maybe, so long as that feeling isn't just happening when you're going to start dealing with your 3 inches of paper, maybe that's an indication you need to take a break. Go have a cup of tea, go do something else that is not, like, don't get lost on YouTube or Netflix, or we're not talking that kind of break, okay? We're talking little break. Okay, so what else did I want to tell you about this? Be alert to the fact that up to today, all right, when you do get triggered by the possibilities, by wouldn't that be nice, all right, that these dreams and desires that are being triggered, truth, they haven't been important enough up till now, or even possible enough to happen. So the question I want you to start asking yourself is, of those things that you're teased into, you given a little taste of, it's reminded you, you know, I always wanted to know how to whatever. I always wanted to do that. I always wanted to go there. All right. Which of them, stop and ask yourself, takes 2 seconds. All right. Okay. But which of these are still me today moving forward? All right. And what currently, if I'm going to do that, if I'm going to take that course, if I'm going to learn how to do that, if I'm going to whatever it is that this paper is offering you that's going to cause you not to follow through on it, because it's been a dream and a desire since you know who was a choir boy. All right. What is different today? What currently has changed to enable that to become real? Because I have to tell you, if your reality hasn't changed, that is now able to become a reality, a fact, you're going to be getting another ad, another paper, another teaser. All right. If your reality hasn't changed to make that desire possible, all right, that dream possible, let it go today. Don't clog up today with dreams and desires whose time haven't come. How is my life different that this can actually happen today? All right. Ask yourself, is it possible? This is not a necessarily pleasant thing to ask yourself. Is it possible that the unrealized wish or dream has gone on so long that it's no longer you? And highest probability, it's no longer even possible? And are you holding on to those papers because you're finding it hard to accept that it may never happen? So long as you got the paper, you've got a quasi intent, right? Okay. Is keeping those papers a way to avoid dealing with those feelings that, you know, I may never actually do that because it feels too much like giving up a reality that when you have to accept, that thing that I wanted to do, I wanted to be a vet. I decided to be a social worker. At some point I had to give up the dream of being a vet. All right. And when we do that, the reality of that, tell me if there's anybody here who has not experienced this. All right, we're all old enough. All right, leaves you feeling with a kind of internal void, a little feeling or fear that you missed something, that road, that path, that dream could have led you somewhere, right? And of course, it's always bright and shiny and noble. That's the great thing about dreams, right? That's the great thing about dreams, is they're always bright and shiny and noble. All right. You don't think about the student debt. You don't think about the hours. You don't think about the cow's going to kick you. You don't think about all of the reality, because that's not part of the dream. The dream is the noble, shiny end. So that internal void, the possibility of it not happening at some point, in some way, interferes with the plan you had for your life. You saw your life going a certain way. All right. And even if this isn't emblematic of it, it's sort of on the edge of the path. I saw myself as a gardener. I saw myself as a whatever, and I had to move to an apartment. I saw myself as hosting, like having neighbors and friends and inviting them in. I saw myself as being happy and not aggravating somebody else. I saw myself as being proud of myself. And how does that also rob you of the legitimate right to feel good about yourself for what you have accomplished, for what you do have? Can you see that hanging on to those, oh, it'll never happen. I don't want to give up on it because it means that it means something. It means a loss, doesn't it? It means a loss, maybe a loss of part of your identity, or a part of your identity you wanted to add on. All right. Do you realize that in doing that, in not naming that feeling, in not facing that down, you know what? That is so unlikely that it would have to have nothing to do with an effort that I made. It would have to land in my lap, packaged up in bows and ribbons. All right. And it's not going to happen. Highest probability it's not going to happen. One of the things when that happens, in whatever, to whatever degree it happens with you, each of us has a vision for what we want for our future, what we'd like, okay? But sometimes, often with good reasons, our plan and vision doesn't happen. And you know, at that point, it's normal to feel a little of the void and a little of the loss, but please do yourself a favor so you don't miss feeling proud of yourself. And even if that is just that you cleared the dining room table, that's an accomplishment, madam, sir. That is an accomplishment, because that's like climbing a mountain. Really, it is. All right. All right. So it's easy when you feel those losses or that shame or that fear, it's easy just to focus on the loss or the negative. But I want you, please, okay, you come here every week, you deserve this, all right? I want you at the same time to give yourself the gift of balancing. While that is true and doesn't feel good right now, that feeling will not last forever. Why? Because it will be filled with the good things that will happen in my life today, tomorrow. Stop for a moment, all right? It's really, really important to allow yourself to balance that loss with all of the experiences and the things that you do have and that benefit you. Some, maybe most of which, truth, you can't be on 2 paths at the same time. You either were routed to that path somehow by a life circumstance, or you made a choice that would lean you in that direction, and you ended up on that path, not realizing that other path was now blocked off. All right, the fact is, the good things that you have right now, most or many may not have even happened without that course correction. If you'd taken that other path, you would have your same balance of good, bad, and indifferent. All right, that's life. This looks shiny and bright because we didn't stumble and fall and bang our head on it, this path. All right. But while you're feeling that loss, while you're facing reality and you're letting go, perhaps, of that dream, that desire, you chose today, remind yourself of the good you have. And in the balance, and that, you know what, you probably wouldn't have most or much of the good you do have if you'd taken that path. There would have been bumps, there would have been valleys, there would have been pouring rain, there would have been sleet and hail and whatever. That's life. It wouldn't have been bright and shiny. All right, not as bright and shiny as we hoped. So in the balance, really, how did you fare? All right, how did you fare? And what do you need to do to add to the unmet dream on the path you're on? And I respectfully submit, give yourself a break and get rid of the clutter. Release yourself from the clutter, okay? And that paper. So if you chose to let go, for instance, just an example, don't hyperventilate. Okay, so if you chose to let go of all, just like, you know what, if it didn't make the cut in the legal, identity, financial, sentimental, truly important, all right, aesthetic, because you are who you are, you love what you love, okay? If you went through your papers just for those, and you let go of all of the other 2s and 3s, what would that possibly create as a positive for you for a better future? How would that move you forward if really, rather than make yourself go through and triage every single paper for, could this possibly be important? If I kept this, I must have had a reason. If that reason isn't uppermost in your mind and you don't recognize at the moment you pick the paper up, you're going back in the future. You're going back in the past, rather. And it's costing you your future. It's costing you self-respect, peace of mind, in some cases, safety today, in your life today. What would that be like? Now, I want you to really think about that, all right? I want you to really, really think about that as a theoretical option. But I want you to put yourself there emotionally and physically, and I want you to be aware of what your internal reaction is. And then I want you to send me a description, a direct. You can send it to me directly. Everybody else, the other 45 people, don't need to see it if you don't want to, but send it to me so I can understand how to backfill next week's podcast, meeting some of those needs that you have. All right. All right. So another thing to ask yourself. So what do the papers that you are really chugging through, especially the ones that symbolize a dreamed reality, all right, what does it cost you today for the available life, just in this moment, right now? Look around you at the paper. Look around you at the paper. All right. What does it cost you today for the available life you have right now in front of you that is there for you to have? As things are right now, within your control. You don't have to wait for something to happen. Are the piles of paper actually tangible and symbolic values? Are you assigning meaning to any of those papers, passively or actively? Passively means you just don't get around to it. You make something else more important. Habitually, it's the habitually that's the demon there, okay? Or actively, no, I need to go through every single thing. I need to read every single line. I need to turn it over. I need to be sure. There is no level of certainty. I guarantee you, at the point you're taking that paper, you're still, if that is a need of yours, you are still going to be going, because it raises anxiety. It's the anxiety that you and I need to deal with, not that paper. All right? It's the anxiety. When we're fixing it, folks, let's fix the right thing. All right? Let's fix the right thing. Okay? That's a symbolic barrier. When you look at those papers, I want you to look at them. If you can, look at them right now and say to yourself, I wonder how many of you are symbolically holding me hostage. Because I am going to find you, but I'm going to find you by default. I'm not going to find you because I gave you a lot of attention. I'm going to find you because I went in looking for the ones, the twos and the threes. All right. The legal, the identity theft, the financial, the sentimental. All right. I'm going to go through and I'm going to find those. And you know what? If my life hasn't been disturbed, if the house hasn't burned down, if all those amorphous fears, right? My life probably will not be significantly different or changed if I just let you go. But you do need to attend to your own self-care. The self-care is make sure when you don't focus on them, you pick it up. Is it a financial paper? How old is it? Then if it's an old one and it's not important today, like a tax paper in the last 7 years, all right, put it in shred. All right, we've talked about that. All right, so parting with the paper, I want you to realize this. Parting with the paper, those 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10s, okay, that paper that you have does not mean that you've lost or given up a desired outcome. That's in you. And anytime you want to reactivate it, it has nothing to do with the paper. If it's a strong desire or dream of yours, it's going to come up. It's going to be reactivated by something else because it's in you already. It belongs to you. It's got nothing to do with keeping the papers. All right. So next week, we're going to be looking at alternative ways to preserve the information that you remain strongly believing that you need. And we're going to talk about a host of tangible methods other than filing in cabinets and drawers for the paper products that speak to any one of the 3 attachment patterns you have, all right, as it actually was, and illustrates the lifestyle you dreamed of. Your aesthetic, remember, aesthetic attachment is legitimate. It's real. It's who you are. The question is how much. The question is, are you holding on to an aesthetic that is no longer actually part of your life today or the foreseeable future? The achievements, okay, in the area of either raising a family, having a career, having a hobby, social or cultural background, things that are important. They're unique to you. All right. So this week, your homework, if you choose to accept it, and have you got a pen and paper, please? Okay. For the 1, 2, 3s, can't imagine life without it. And that can be aesthetic, sentimental, or intrinsic. Intrinsic are those 1, 2, 3s that we were talking about, the legal, you know, the whole deal. All right. So aesthetic, I just love it. I just love it. When I look at it, it makes me smile. It just fills me. It's who I am. It just resonates with me hugely. All right. And sentimental. Okay. So I want you to write down for each of those attachment patterns, what would make something a 1, 2, 3 in those papers? What are the criteria or the characteristics? Things like aesthetic, for instance. There's no rhyme or reason. When I see it, I just go, oh, there you are. You know, and this valuable piece, you know what? This valuable piece does not speak to me. It was an investment and whatever. All right. What makes something a 1, 2, 3 for you? 2 is, you know, it isn't quite 1. It isn't quite there you are. I can't imagine life without it, but you know, it isn't far off. It's in the neighborhood. And 3 is, you know, I don't know. It just really, it's hard to put a rationale to it. It's just like, I believe it. All right. Let's go to the 7, 8, 9, 10s. What are 3 to 5 categories, criteria that makes something a 7, 8, 9, 10? Those are the things that when you pick them up or you see them, you go, is that still here? I thought I got rid of that. What's that silly thing still doing here? Really? What was I thinking? Or, you know, really, if something's got to go, and clearly something's got to go, you're it. All right. Because the 1, 2, 3s, they are not going anywhere. Okay. They are ultra, ultra, ultra important to me. Now, I want you to figure out what would we be using, because one of the things too we're going to be doing, that I'm going to be doing, and I would love to do a dry run with you folks, is in the hoarding group, level 3, we're actually going to be, it's a group that I've run in the past, and we're going to be reactivating it sometime in March. And we're going to actually be going through it. It's what I do in counseling, even to Germany, to Hong Kong, to Hungary. Okay, it works. Is, you know, honestly, in your heart and soul, what are your criteria? They speak to you, and we apply them. We apply them in real time. And so if you can figure out what is your biggest criteria, most important criteria for one of the 3 attachment patterns, aesthetic, symbolic, sentimental, in the way of paper, all right, what would that be? And what would be your best example of a 7? 7 would be, I'd like to keep you, but you know what? If something's got to go, it's going to be you, because it is not going to be the 1, 2, 3s. In your mind, be clear about what the criteria for each of those would be. Just 3 to 5 ideas, okay? Don't make it complicated, okay? But they have to speak to who you are. And then what we'll do is I'll show you next week how to go through the papers that are in front of you, applying the number 1 and judging by the number 7. Anything that is closest to this number 7 of the 7, 8, 9, 10s, all right, becomes a 6. And it gets kind of pushed over with the 7, 8, 9, 10s. Clearly it's, you've got some thoughts about it, but it's not a biggie, all right? And anything that is closer to the number 1 goes with the 1, 2, 3. So now, using this method that respects who you are, your priorities, all right, who you are, and the stuff you're looking at, you only have 1 category in the middle of 5s to struggle with. And you know what? In 20 years of counseling people, I have never once had it happen that all of the 1, 2, 3s and sometimes all of the number 4s, we could find a spot for that to be stored in an accessible way. And I have people who have let go of carloads full of things, all right, over many, many years, because there was a lot to decide. And those people, to a person, tell me, you know what? It was so hard to do that. And now I sit and I think, I can hardly I might think of 1 or 2 items. The hard part, really, I realized, was that moment of decision and parting. All right, that's the block. So let's get you through that. All right, so what else do I want to tell you today? Okay, this is important. Not everything has to be logical and make sense. Okay, there's more to life than logic. All right, there's more to life than logic. There's whimsy and fun too. Some memories get complicated because they involve difficult people and difficult issues. All right. Some memories are not so inspirational, and they remind us of unfinished business, either with ourselves in our own life, or perhaps ones that worked. Some of these papers also get attached to that unfinished business with ourselves. All right. How much unfinished business having to do with you personally do these papers represent? Sometimes some of the papers we keep, memories, letters, pictures, remember it's paper of all kind, have to do with difficult relationships, some dead, some alive, that we may want to get back to heal and resolve. Okay, the unfinished business with someone who's passed, or somebody who is alive, but there's a ruptured relationship, or worse yet, an abusive relationship, or a usury relationship, the narcissist. Remember the narcissists we talked about? All right. Please don't mistake letting go of the paper for letting go of the outcome you need with respect to those reconciliations. Okay? Don't mistake this paper. This paper is not worth bumping the head off, the scab off the wound. All right? There are ways that in upcoming podcasts we're going to talk about to deal with that pain, to deal with those unresolved things. All right. I've been given a wonderful resource. I'm going to read the book, and then I'm going to filter it through my clinical experience so I can stand behind it when I offer it to you. All right. So that is coming up. But please don't mistake letting go of the paper for letting go of the outcome. Just because the paper goes, those could be divorce papers. They could be child apprehension papers. They could be anything, all right, that is painful and is a little wound. Why? Because when I help you and you pick it up and you carry it and do it, that helps you move forward. Also keep in mind that we don't need the paper in its tangible form, even when it's a positive. You don't have it. Do you realize that? The security you get from keeping it, you don't have it if it's lost in a pile or missing in a drawer. Those memories, those pictures, really? You find those when you're looking for the scissors and it reminds you then that's what those memories are worth? All right, there are so many better ways to honor your intent that have nothing to do with the physical thing. And they're effective. They give you what you need. Lost in a pile, fading, damaging, getting, you have a flood in the basement and there go all your happy memories. No, think of the grief. I have worked with people where that has happened. It is gut-wrenching. All right, forewarned is forearmed. Let's get on it. All right, but what else do I want to tell you? If technology has done nothing, all right, it has given us the ability to store and categorize, and we're going to be looking, and please, are you at least willing to consider technology? It's not going to be the only show in town next week as far as storage, okay? But are you at least willing to consider it as an option? Or are you already heading for the limiting beliefs that you have about yourself using electronics? Have you already gone, oh, I can't do that. I'm not good with machines. I'm not good with computers. People, I'm a social worker and I went into social work for a reason, because machines and I are not friends. It is not a natural pairing. All right. And if I can do it, you can do it. All right. If I can do it, you can do it. I mean that. All right. I'm good at some things. That's not one of them. But I can do the dumbed down, but get it happen version, and it works. I don't need to know all the little, this could do that and this could, no, I just needed to do what I needed to do. That's it. Okay. And I need it simple and I need it written down. Okay. Yeah, you can do it. Please don't go to limiting beliefs and stay there. Don't shut the door in your mind before even listening to how easy and permanent these storage opportunities can be. Because the great thing about technology, look what I bought myself, okay? A 4 terabyte hard drive. I can have everybody's life in this podcast on this thing, and it's still gonna have room. And all you have to do is stick it in the computer and find it in the menu, and boom. You can even have those happiest memories be a slideshow as your wallpaper on your computer, okay? You can have the picture of the week and add it to the screen on your smartphone. All right, that's George, that's the gorilla, the mountain gorilla. Because even at my age, I have asked my son, if I can't get there soon, will he make sure, all right, that he tips the Sherpas to carry me in, way in, so that we can meet the mountain gorillas. He's told me if I leave him in the will, he will. He's in the will. Okay, so the thing about technology is it doesn't fade, it doesn't rip, it doesn't get coffee spilled on it, it doesn't get lost in piles, it doesn't require filing. All right, right now, all of the unfinished important business of life, ending message is doable. The good, the bad, and the not so good, and the unfinished business, it's all doable. And you are never going to get to it if it remains in a pile, defeating you, making you feel bad about yourself, shaming you, making you feel embarrassed about inviting people in, fearful that the fire department might find out, fearful that whatever, remaining fearful. It's only paper. It's only paper. Let's do it. Okay, we've got some chats here. Let's have a look. All righty. Where are we? I have a great week. Okay, I have a great week organizing and even some purging of paper and a bit of clothing. Woot, 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 woot. Good for you. Good for you. All right, now. My heart pounds, my stomach sinks. Yeah. I know it is stressful. It is stressful, but it's worth facing down. It really is. Hyperventilating, tight chest. I was able to join after home. Thank you. Oh, good. That's good. I see myself as possibly having to move to a homeless shelter. Well, that would be a big downer, and not necessary. Let's work through it. Let's work through it. It's all doable. It really is. A little at a time. It is all doable. It's such a powerful insight. Yes, and yes, hitting the mark. Okay. Even if it's a sad spot, even if it's left you kind of like, oh, gotta face it, gotta face it. All right. Face it in chunks, no deeper than your hand. And you will be surprised at how regularly, how successfully you can do it. All right. All right. I worry about medical receipts and benefits receipts. Yes. So the item that you're talking about, you probably only need to keep going back because they have records. They can give you a printout, no cost to you. Okay. Yeah, they have that all on a file. I know that because I used to work for them. And they can give you that printed out if you ever need it. I would keep a year's worth though, all right? And any time that there was some discrepancy, I would keep that as verification, but that won't be every one, all right? Because if there's a discrepancy 18 months ago, and you keep that one, and then you keep from 12 months to 1 month, they need to account for, and they've got the records for how this discrepancy was either resolved or not resolved. All right, let them do the work. They're being paid. All right, let's see. My clutter is more identity related, not so much paper, but items. An unmet dream of doing art, decorating the house, learning a new craft, refinishing this furniture with great bones. I do have, sorry, that was a direct message. I'd like you to have a look at, everybody, have a look at whatever is making up your clogging, all right? And sit down and see if with the tangible, you're talking furniture here, that you would like to refinish. All right. See if you can place it in your mind where it would go, how it would fit, what would work, what wouldn't work. All right. Measure it out. Make sure that you're dealing with reality. And then sit down and have a come to truth moment with yourself about the things that are extra that aren't going to fit. They're never going to fit. You could finish them, but at this point in time, what makes more sense to you to, and don't do it in this weather, to refinish or even to live with is not every old piece of furniture is an antique. We think it is, but I've had enough experience with auction houses and refinishing companies for people that I learned that a long time ago. All right. So first, what you love. then make what you love fit or not fit and face the truth about it. Find the other pieces that will fit in the space and start living it. Don't store it. Your life is not a story. Your life is your home and a place that needs to nurture and support you. All right. Let me see what we have here now. All right. I have 29 new messages. So I'm going to keep those. I'm going to look at them and I will consider whatever the information is in those messages for the podcast next week. Okay. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great week. Do those criteria for your 1, 2, 3s, your 7, 8, 9, 10s, and your 4, 5, 6s. And I will see you next week. Take care. Bye.